Hello friends, welcome once again to our new progressive web app tutorials. And in this tutorial we are going to learn what is our PWA mobile application, which is a progressive web app. These web applications are built using web technologies such as JavaScript, HTML and CSS, which runs inside the browser like any other normal website. Progressive apps also can harness the native device features. Okay, so having defined that, we need to understand a web app can also be installed on a mobile device, and also the application can be accessed when it's offline. And also we can get notifications from the application. So these are things which an application built with a native framework can do. So let's understand the differences between a native application and a web app. A native application are built using frameworks, device-specific SDKs. For example, in my previous tutorial, I talked about cross-platforms and I talked about different frameworks that we can use to create application. So in this, we talked about using native framework like React, Flutter, and Ionic. Native applications can be published and then downloaded from the App Store, and also can be installed on a mobile device. Also can be accessed when the device is offline. Progressive web apps can be made using vanilla JavaScript, HTML and CSS. Progressive web apps can only be accessed via a web address and not the App Store. So they can also be installed on a mobile device like native application. We can also use them offline, and also they can also get notification. So in this section of tutorial, we'll be learning how we can create a basic PWA login page using web technologies such as JavaScript, HTML and CSS, and also eventually connect it to Firebase for our authentications and login. Okay, so let's dive into the code and see how we can achieve that. So firstly, we'll have to install VS Studio. So when the application or when the website opens up VS Code, then you download for Mac if you're on Windows, you download for Windows if you're on Mac, you download for Linux. So after downloading, you open VS Studio Code, you go to folder and then start a new project. So here we are going to start our new project. My root folder is development folder, where I save my projects. So inside here I'll go ahead and create a new project and I'll call PWA tutorial. Then I click save, and inside here I'll create another folder which will be CSS folder, and then go back to PWA, then create another folder and call it JS, which will hold our JavaScript files. So I'll go ahead and open that. So inside my project folder, I have four subfolders, which is CSS and JS. So I'll go inside here and then create index.html page, and this one just press doc, enter, and it will give you the default structure or you can say skeleton for our page. So I'll have CSS, then I'll have something like another file which will called app.js, and then yeah, so this is our structure of our project. So we go ahead and then go to Google Materialize Designs to write our first login page using Materialize package in our application. So we go ahead, click here and say get started, and then download the file here. Under Materialize we have CSS, so we copy materialize.css and then we put it in our, okay, let's just drag this one here, main style, main.css style. Then here under JS I will have a new file there, I will call it ui.js, so that will be under there. And then we'll have also our JS file, which could be materialize.js file. So we copy that, paste it there. So we have to add another folder, which will be image, that will hold our images folder. Then we'll have to have a pages folder. This is going to contain our different pages to our application. So first of all, we need to set up our application so that we can test it as we develop. So how do we open this our application into the browser without going to reveal into Finder and just double clicking and opening the file into the browser? Because remember, it's using a file protocol and yet we want to use an HTTP protocol. So for us to be able to do that, we will have to install a plugin into VS Code. So you go to VS Code, we'll need a local development server that we are going to use, that is going to enable us to use HTTP protocol. So to do that, you just go and say live server, and then it will pop up here. And for me, I've already installed it, but if you haven't, then you click install and then it will install. So after you have finished, then you can go to our HTML. Firstly, let's edit it a little bit and then change, for example, the title. We'll call it PWA web app login page. Okay, so we have given it a name, save, and then we can directly go to our page, right click and then say open with live server. So when you click that, it will open with our HTTP protocol as you see it here, instead of the file that we are receiving earlier on. Okay, that having defined, we can then go ahead and then start developing our application using VS Code. But before we do that, remember I had imported materialize.css, and we need to import materialize.min.css instead of this one. So we go to downloads, then materialize, and then we select, select this one. So we'll take materialize.css. So I'll delete this one. So we have taken materialize.min.css library, and then we, instead of materialize.js, we can delete that one, and then we go and import materialize.min.js. UI.js is our JavaScript file that is going to contain our own JavaScript interact with the UI of the application. Thank you for watching. In my next video, we'll be continuing with our PAW login form. And please don't forget to subscribe on my channel. Thank you.